It was just after midnight when Alex Carter, an investigative reporter from Atlanta, opened the email. No subject line, no signature. Only one sentence. The oldest airline in America is hiding a flight that never landed. Attached was a black and white photo of a Delta Airlines propeller plane dated 1947. The strange part? Alex had seen every Delta archive image in the public record, but this one didn't exist anywhere. The photo's background showed an airstrip surrounded by pine trees. A small, handwritten note in the corner read, Flight 1129, do not release. Alex leaned back in his chair. He had written about airline mergers, safety issues, even smuggling cases, but this felt different. This felt dangerous. He replied to the sender, asking for more details. No response. 5 minutes later, his phone buzzed, a block number. A man's voice spoke, low and hurried. Stop looking at that photo, Carter. You don't know who you're dealing with. Then silence. Alex's hands tightened on his phone. Who knew his name? And why did they care about a flight from almost 80 years ago? He didn't know yet. But one thing was clear. If the tip was real, he had just stepped into a story that could rewrite American airline history or end his career. He hit print on the photo, grabbed his coat, and headed for the archives. The Georgia State Aviation Archive was quiet that morning, the smell of old paper and dust heavy in the air. Alex signed in, flashed his press badge, and walked past rows of gray file cabinets. He searched for Flight 1129. Nothing in the public index. No mention in Delta's historic timetables. Frustrated, he asked the archivist, a man in his 60s named Harris, if he had ever heard of it. Harris froze for a moment. Then he leaned in. Some flights aren't in the public books, he whispered. Some were erased. Harris disappeared into the back room and returned with a cardboard box marked Government Hold, Confidential. Inside were brittle log sheets, telegram copies, and faded maps. One manifest caught Alex's eye. It listed Flight 1129, dated November 14th, 1947. Departure, Atlanta. Destination, Washington, D.C. Status, no arrival recorded. Passenger names were blacked out, but a note at the bottom read, Federal clearance, eyes only. Before Alex could snap a photo, Harris slammed the box shut. You didn't see this, he said firmly. You should walk away now. They still watch anyone who asks about that flight. Alex's pulse quickened. If a flight never landed, where did it go? And who didn't want the world to know? He left the archives. The manifest burned into his memory, unaware that a dark sedan was now following him down Peachtree Street. Alex's lead brought him to a quiet retirement home just outside Atlanta. The name on his list was Captain William Bill Harlow, a Delta pilot from the 1940s. Bill sat on the porch, his posture still straight despite his 90 years. When Alex introduced himself and mentioned Flight 1129, the old man's eyes narrowed. You don't want to dig there, son, Bill said, his voice low. Alex pressed. I've seen the manifest, no arrival recorded. What happened? Bill looked away, scanning the tree line like he expected someone to be listening. That flight wasn't on the schedule, he whispered. It was ordered by people higher than the airline. Military men, suits from Washington. They loaded the plane in the dead of night. What was on board? Alex asked. Bill's lips tightened. Not passengers, cargo. Something they didn't want the public to ever see. He leaned closer, gripping Alex's arm. Everyone connected to that flight either disappeared or signed papers they could never break. I flew a support run that night. I saw the plane take off, but I never saw it land. Before Alex could ask more, a black SUV pulled into the parking lot. 2 men in dark suits stepped out, scanning the porch. Bill's grip tightened. You need to go, now. They still protect whatever was on that plane. Alex backed away, heart pounding, knowing he was being watched again. Back in his apartment, Alex spread the evidence across his kitchen table, the printed photo, his notes from the archive, and the fragments of Bill's testimony. One detail stuck out: Washington, D.C. If the flight was headed there in 1947, it was only months after the Roswell incident. Alex didn't believe in conspiracy theories, but the timing was strange. He started digging into Delta's corporate records. Nothing obvious. Then he checked old FA filings, and there it was. A mysterious hangar lease at Washington National Airport in late 1947. The lease was signed not by Delta, but by a front company that no longer existed. The address of that company led him to a modern logistics firm in Virginia, and that firm had a current contract with Delta Airlines. Alex's mind raced. Was the same network from 1947 still operating today? His phone buzzed. Another block number. "Mr. Carter," a cold voice said, "you're connecting dots that should stay apart. If you value your life, close your laptop right now." Click. Alex stared at the screen, his heartbeat pounding in his ears. Someone was monitoring him in real time. Then an email popped up. No sender, no subject, with a single attachment. It was a satellite photo of Atlanta's airport, zoomed in on a restricted area. Hangar 47, the same number that appeared on the 1947 lease file. By nightfall, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that every shadow was watching him. Hangar 47 was locked behind multiple security fences at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. No public tours, no photos. If he wanted answers, he'd have to get close. Before leaving, he found an envelope taped to his apartment door. Inside was a single sheet of paper with bold red letters. "Walk away, O.R., you won't walk again." The words felt heavy in his hands. Someone had them here, just outside his home. Still, Alex grabbed his camera, his notebook, and his press badge. He drove toward the airport, his eyes flicking to the rearview mirror. A black sedan kept appearing behind him, sometimes 2 cars back, sometimes 1. When he stopped at a gas station, the sedan parked across the street. 2 men in suits sat inside, motionless. Alex decided to test them. He drove in circles through downtown Atlanta. The sedan followed every turn. Finally, his phone rang. "No caller ID. You have one last chance," the voice said. "Turn around, go home, and forget Hangar 47 exists." Alex said nothing. He hung up and pressed harder on the gas, heading for the airport perimeter. If someone was willing to threaten him this directly, it meant one thing. Whatever was in that hangar was worth more than his safety. And he was going to see it. The road to the airport perimeter was nearly empty, lit only by tall security lights. Alex parked 2 blocks away and continued on foot, camera slung over his shoulder. The chain-link fence around Hangar 47 loomed ahead, topped with razor wire. Through the gaps, he saw the faint outline of a vintage propeller plane, dusty, untouched, like it had been frozen in time. A crunch of gravel behind him made him turn. The black sedan had returned, now rolling slowly toward him. Alex bolted. Footsteps hit the pavement, at least 2 men, closing in fast. He ducked between service trucks, cutting toward a line of cargo containers. "Stop!" a voice barked. A flashlight beam swept across the asphalt, catching the edge of his jacket. Alex dove behind a forklift, heart pounding. One of the men moved closer, a metallic click in his hand. Not a flashlight this time. A baggage cart suddenly rolled from the other side of the lot, distracting them for a second. Alex took the chance, sprinting toward the fence. He grabbed his camera and snapped a shot through the chain links, the vintage Delta logo, the plane's tail number, and the words Flight 1129 still painted on its side. "Got you," he muttered. Then the beam of a flashlight hit his face, and a hand grabbed his arm. "End of the road, Carter," the man growled. The man yanked Alex toward the sedan, but a sudden roar cut through the night. a cargo jet taking off nearby. In that split second of noise and confusion, Alex slammed his elbow back, breaking free. He sprinted toward the fence, spotting a maintenance ladder leaning against it, up and over. He dropped onto the other side, rolling to absorb the landing. Hangar 47 was bigger up close. Its massive steel doors were slightly open, just enough for him to slip through. Inside, the air smelled of oil and dust. And there it was, the same plane from the 1947 photo, its silver fuselage reflecting the dim overhead lights. But this wasn't a museum piece. Fresh tire tracks ran from the hangar doors to the plane's landing gear. The cockpit windows were clean. The fuel lines were connected. Alex climbed the steps to the cabin door. Inside, the seats had been removed. In their place, steel crates marked classified U.S. government. One crate was open, revealing metal cylinders wrapped in protective foam. A faded paper label read, "Property of the United States, Project Sentinel." Before Alex could pull out his phone, a sharp click echoed behind him. He turned to see one of the suited men aiming a pistol straight at his chest. "You weren't supposed to find this," the man said. Alex froze, the barrel of the gun inches from his chest. The suited man's eyes were cold, but his voice was calm. "This plane leaves tonight," he said, "and you're coming with it." Two more men appeared from the shadows, forcing Alex down the aisle. They strapped him into a seat near the cockpit, the only seat left. The engines began to rumble, the sound vibrating through the metal floor. Through the window, Alex saw the hangar doors open wider, revealing the runway. A voice crackled over the intercom. "Flight 1129, cleared for departure." The man with the gun leaned down. "This flight has taken off every decade since 1947. It always lands where no one can track it. And it always comes back with the same cargo." Alex's pulse hammered in his ears. If the story was true, he wasn't just witnessing history, he was now part of it. The plane began to roll faster and faster. He twisted in his seat, spotting his camera still hanging from his neck. One quick photo, the cockpit, the crates, the tail number, proof, the nose lifted. Atlanta's lights fell away beneath them, swallowed by darkness. The suited man smiled. "Welcome to the last flight you'll ever take, Mr. Carter." Outside, the clouds swallowed the plane whole, and the world below disappeared.